a good yontif. It's a very big yontif. It's our yontif. It's because our Rebbe and his Chassidim are one Metzias. So if it's a yontif, it's a geula. For the F.R.E.E. Rebbe, it's our geula. And the F.R.E.E. Rebbe Taka said about Beis Tammuz that this is not just a private geula, but it's a geula for every yid, and even if a yid who only considers himself a yid by name, every yid, it's all of our yontif. Because the victory was not a victory of a private yid, but this was a victory for Klal Yisrael, the whole situation of Golus. And the F.R.E.E. Rebbe was a yachid. He was one individual who took upon himself to fight the strongest superpower of Russia, and nothing was in his way. He stood firm in continuing, furthering Yiddishkeit in the most dangerous times. And the nest that he was saved, spared, gave new koyach to all the Jews who are still in Russia and were living under such a great pressure. And they took from this that no one is a balabas, no one could dictate a Yid's life between him and Hashem. And Yidden continued with great difficulties, but with self-sacrifice, they continued keeping Yiddishkeit and raising their children. And today we see so many hundreds and thousands of Hasidim and Yidden who are the offsprings of these people who gave up their lives to keep Yiddishkeit in Russia. And not only in Russia, but this also gave tremendous strength for Klal Yisrael to continue, and no matter on what kind of difficulties, no one is going to dictate to a Yid his connection to Hashem and how he should lead his life. So it's our yontif. And the way to celebrate the yontif is to learn from this yontif in our daily life that what it takes to be a Yid, the way Chassidus wants us to live, that we should be through and through for real. We should give all that we have to Hashem. When we do a mitzvah, we should do this with our whole heart. When we learn Torah, we should learn Torah because this is Hashem's Torah, and that's the way how we connect to Hashem. Everything that we do really needs to be done with Mesiras Nefesh. Because Mesiras Nefesh literally means you're totally dedicated to Hashem on every level. Not just chas v'sholem to be a superficial Jew, but that is our lives. That's who we are. We're not doing this because we have an obligation, but this is what we really want. And this is what we want. There's nothing more that we want, is to be close to Hashem. I want to tell you that this might be interesting for you to know that I myself was privileged to go to Russia when it was still communist Russia, nothing to compare to the times of the F.R.E.E. Rebbe, but it was still communist Russia, and I was sent there to teach Yidden Torah, to teach them Chassidus, and I thought that I came to teach them, and it ended up to be that I learned from them, and I took from them much more than what I gave them. I saw the self-sacrifice of young Yidden to learn Torah, or to keep Shabbos, or to keep their children from not going to school on Shabbos, was a tremendous self-sacrifice. And that is only in 1980 or 1981. This is nowhere like the time of the F.R.E.E. Rebbe. But even then, it was such an intense time that you could cut the ear. You felt wherever I went in Russia, you felt somebody's following you, somebody's watching you, the room where you are, the hotel that you went, there was a 90% chance that room is booked. When you went to a person's house, a person who was searching for Yiddishkeit, in many homes, they asked me not to talk, but to write, because they were concerned that the room is bugged. The self-sacrifice of the Yidden at that time is unbelievable, their Mesiras Nefesh. They never dreamt in those days that they're going to ever get out of Russia. This means that their whole life is going to be struggle after struggle after struggle for every little detail in Yiddishkeit. And yet, this was a given. We are Yidden. No matter what, this is what we're going to continue. I could tell you stories, incredible stories, how young couples wanted I should teach them Torah, and they were going to a college, and for them to meet a foreigner, American person, they could automatically lose they would not let them back into school. Because you talk to a foreigner, you're giving over secrets, army secrets, like it was like paranoia that's all you have. You're going to give over secrets from the government. It was like a big sin even to meet a foreigner. When I went to the shul, you would think, oh, there I could daven in peace. Half of the shul were informers, including the rabbi and the president, and half of them are informers. Before I went to the shul, I went in America. I was shown a video. Who is a good guy and who is a guy that you got? He could have a beard. He could have a black hat. He's an informer. That's how scary it was. You had to know who you're talking to. You're being watched. And yet, the Yidden who kept Yiddishkeit with living like this day after day after day, their Mesiras Nefesh, their thirst for Torah, the thirst for mitzvahs. So I want to tell you just a few of my experiences, and yet this was all due to the F.R.E.E. Rebbe, of his Mesiras Nefesh to make Yidden keep Yiddishkeit in Russia and all over Russia. He had underground shuls, underground mikvahs, underground Talmud Torahs. And every person who was involved in teaching children, his life was in danger. The F.R.E.E. Rebbe took 9 Hasidim, and he was the 10th. He needed a minion to make a covenant that they're going to spread Yiddishkeit no matter what, even to life. And he had such Hasidim, such soldiers that were willing to give up their lives. And matter of fact, at least 1 or 2 of those 10 were shot and went shot to death. The F.R.E.E. Rebbe didn't stop. And when there was missing a person, he took in another person. You're talking about Mesiris Nefesh to the end. So let me tell you a few stories that I experienced when I was there. First of all, there were young, like teenagers that I met they came from Bali Tshuva. The Zaydis of these kids were a part of the KGB, no less. So they had to be so careful in their own family. And yet their thirst for Yiddishkeit was incredible. There was a boy who I saw that he's so interested. His greatest request was if he could have his own siddur. He would give a boy a bicycle or an electric bicycle. To him, a siddur was his greatest gift. So I gave him a soft cover siddur that what I took along. And later, after being there for a week and a half or 2, I saw that he bound this siddur and made this like a hardcover siddur. This was like to him the greatest gift. There were people who I went to Shabbos. I was also in Leningrad, and I was by a couple on Shabbos. They were Bali Tshuva, and their daughter, they held her back from school not to have to go Shabbos on school. But you have to go. So they had to always make up a story that that the child is sick and can't come. So I was in the house on Shabbos where the government or from the school came to check up if she sick. So they knocked on the door. Immediately the girl jumped into bed because she's supposed to be sick. Could you imagine living like this on a Shabbos after Shabbos, coming up with stories to able to keep a Shabbos? Unbelievable. The Mesiris Nefesh, and they didn't even think that this was Mesiris Nefesh. This is by them natural. This is what it takes. So we're talking about just a taste of what Jews went through in Russia to maintain Yiddishkeit. And a lot of Hasidim, as we all know, end up in jail, end up in Siberia, and ended up in who knows where. And even there, they kept Shabbos, and they kept kosher, and if they didn't have what to eat, so they'll live on sugar, they'll live on I don't know what. So many stories of the Mesiris Nefesh, of Yidden, just to keep Torah mitzvahs. So the F.R.E.E. Rebbe was the one who helped and strengthened Yiddishkeit throughout Russia. He was the key enemy of communism. And anyone that had any connection to the F.R.E.E. Rebbe was immediately, he's in trouble. And they would censor the letters, they would censor the telephones. And any time that they thought that a person has some connection to Shliches, and they knew this is the Rebbe. That meant that that guy is anti-government, anti-communism, and he could lose his job. And if you lose your job in Russia, that's the end of your life, because you have to work. That's the law. You can't be what they say, a parasite, and live off the government or something. You have to work. But what they do is that they don't let you work. So you're already in trouble. They'll catch you in the street, passport. Then they know, do you work? Where do you work? You don't work? Already you're in trouble. So life was miserable for so many years. And the Yidden held with the greatest Mesiras Nefesh. And this is all thanks to the work of the F.R.E.E Rebbe. And this is the Yom Tov that we celebrate, that the miracle was that a person like that got out of jail. He was supposed to be Chas v'Shalom shot. And he got out. And soon as he got out, he started even working more. Because once he was out of Russia, he could do more than when he was in Russia. And he kept on working and working to hold up the Jews for Torah mitzvahs, give them money for teachers, for mikvahs, you can't imagine. So this is a yontif that speaks to all of us. Because to be a Yid is going to take Mesiras Nefesh. You cannot survive in today's world, such a megushadik world, such a dark world. You can't survive to be a Yid the way the Eibishter wants us to be without Mesiras Nefesh. And today, the ness of the F.R.E.E Rebbe is that Mesiras Nefesh is going to succeed, and they're going to have the greatest hatzlacha. Although we are a minority, and so many goyim and so many anti-Semitim and so many, a Yid is a chelik alakam imal. A Yid has incredible koiches, and therefore will always succeed. So this is not just the geula from the F.R.E.E Rebbe, it's the geula for every Yid who wants to be close to the Eibishter with Mesiras Nefesh. Today is the day that you should know you're going to succeed, you're going to have the greatest hatzlacha, and that's what a Yid is. That's who a Yid is. A Yid is a Baal Mesiras Nefesh. And in simple words, everything we do, when we learn, when we daven, when we do a mitzvah, you gotta give it all that you have. You can't just do it because I gotta do it or I have to get it over with. You have to do it with your whole heart. You have to go out of your comfort zone and do more than what you feel like doing. You know, in the world, I'm sure you know this, there's such a saying, I don't feel like it, or I'm not into it. Those words don't even, you're not going to hear this in Hasidic Chabad. What are you going to hear if somebody's going to say, I don't feel like it? What do you think you're going to hear? You're going to hear, oh, you don't feel like it? Very good. It's even better. By saying that you don't feel like it is not going to get you off the hook. If anything, you're going to hear, oh, this is unbelievable. You really don't want to do it. Now you could do it really. Now it's going to be very, very precious to Hashem. There was a chassid who came to the Tzemach Tzedek. Tzemach Tzedek was the third Lubavitcher Rebbe. And he said to him that I don't really enjoy learning. So the Tzemach Tzedek answers him, I got a bigger problem. I do enjoy learning. What did he answer him? What kind of answer is that? The answer is that when you like to learn and you learn, that's not even Mesiras Nefesh. You like it. You enjoy it. It's when you don't like it and yet you do it, that's called a servant of Hashem. That's called avodah. So in our surroundings, in our yeshivas, you're going to be embarrassed to tell the mashpia or your teacher, I don't feel like it. Those words, you're not going to even able to say it because you know what he's going to say. He's going to whack you over the head. That's tremendous. You don't feel like doing it. That's what it's all about. So you got to do it for sure. You're such a lucky man. You don't like to do it, then you're going to do it. This is so dear to Hashem. You can't even say those words. There's very few words that you could say that they're going to get off the hook. What are you going to say to the rabbi or to the, I don't feel like it, I'm not into it? Is anybody asking you about, are you in the mood? Since when does Hashem ask us, how do you feel about the mitzvahs today? Are you in the mood? Hashem is our melech, Hashem is our king, and he dictates to us what we should do. He doesn't ask you, how do you feel about this? Are you into it? Are you not into it? Basic Judaism 101 is Hashem is a melech. He's the king, and he gives us orders. A mitzvah is a command. It's not like optional. If you like it, if you choose so, there's a misunderstanding, a big misunderstanding that many people think that being that Judaism talks about free choice, so we really have a choice. We could do it or we don't have to do it. Don't we have a free choice? And I find a lot of people telling me this answer, I just chose not to do it. Or I just don't, I don't really have a feeling for it. It doesn't do anything to me. Since when does it have to do something to you? You got the wrong religion. You must be confusing this with a different religion. Jewish religion doesn't ask you, how do you feel about this mitzvah? It's a command. Hashem is a melech, and he gives us orders. Like it or lump it. However, so what does free choice mean? Free choice doesn't mean it's optional. This is a gross misunderstanding. It's not, Judaism is not optional. God didn't say, choose whatever you like. It's okay. Just choose. This is sick. Hashem never said that. It's commands. Commands. Anybody who opens up the Torah in English or in French or in Russian, you'll never get this impression in the Torah that religion is optional. Do you know that, I'm sure everybody knows here, that it's quite clear in the Torah, say a person chooses to, chas v'sholom, go to a restaurant and he wants to eat ham and bacon. It's his money, it's his choice. Does he have a right to do that? It's his choice. Don't we have a free choice? So he chooses to eat chas v'sholom treif. That's before you open up the Chumash. But if you could read in English or any language, you'll see that the Torah commands. And the Torah says even that if you don't do that, and there are two people who saw that you're not listening to the Torah, and you're eating this kind of abomination, and you're eating this sandwich, and two people say to you, excuse me, good afternoon, sir, are you aware that the Torah says that this is not exactly something that you're allowed to eat? And if you do eat this, we might have to take you for a nice walk, and you're going to get some love pats that are going to be 39 lashes, that if you have a rear end after that, you're ahead of the game. So the Torah gives you an option. You got it. You push it. You're out of your mind. That's an option. There's no option. Religion is not do what you feel like. It's up to you. There's rewards. There is punishments. I won't even go into the bigger things that you can end up getting. I don't want to disturb your dinner tonight, but there is no such a thing in the Jewish religion that it's optional. You have a free choice. That's not what it means. Free choice means that Hashem is not going to do it for you. You got to choose. You got to make the move. But don't you dare make the wrong move. You're going to get it so over the head that you'll understand that this is a command. Free choice only means that every creation besides a human being doesn't have a choice to do what it's doing. If you are an animal, if you are created to be a kind animal, you're going to be kind. You don't have a choice to be anything different than the way Hashem created you. If you are a cruel animal, because that's the nature of that particular animal, you have no choice but being what you are. A human being, even if he was born with corrupt, he comes from a corrupt family or a corrupt society, he still has the way to go against his own feelings and control himself. So he has a choice to do what Hashem wants him to do. But don't you dare go against Hashem. So Torah does not give us, this is something that we have to teach the whole world. The Jewish religion is not a religion that tells you whatever you feel. You have the free choice. This is not a simple topic. Majority of Jews today who are assimilated and whatever, it all comes, one of the problems is that they were never taught that the Torah comes from God. They were never taught that this is mandatory, that Jewish religion does not give you any options. You don't even have any freedom. So the question is, the Torah says there's no free person than a person who observes the Torah. So this needs a lot of clarification, because we know that if you listen to the Torah, you have no freedom. The Torah dictates every move that you do, every word that you say, every thought, what you should think. This is a pretty strict religion. There's not a moment in your life that I could be a free person to do what I want to do. So how could the Torah say that there's no Enoch ben Chayren, there's no free person than a person who follows the Torah? So what's the explanation? Because we have a neshama, and the neshama wants to be close to Hashem. That's all it wants. So when the neshama could do a mitzvah, the neshama feels free. Free that I could be my real self, but not free I could do what I want. Then you are a servant to your emotions, you're a servant to your instincts. You're not a free person at all. A person who doesn't have to go by what he feels like, but he could do. What is going on here? On the 5 pages, right?
There might be interfering with someone's phone. See this, we have all the direct malachim in our pockets. Turn off Wi-Fi. No.
The Torah, he also gave Moshe Rabbeinu for Klal Yisrael the Luchos, and on the Luchos was engraved 10 commandments, 10 mitzvahs. The question that needs to be answered, what was the need to have the Luchos? When we later got the whole Torah, the whole 5 books of Moses was written on a Torah, and we had, every Shevet had a whole Torah for themselves. So why did we need the Luchos? The Luchos is only 10 of the 613, and yet there's a whole to-do in the Torah about the Luchos. Moshe Rabbeinu broke the Luchos, and then Hashem gave us another chance, and there was another Luchos. But why do we need Luchos? What does the Luchos contribute more than the Torah? The Torah already has the complete 613 mitzvahs. So what does the Luchos, why is it so valuable, so important? We needed to have those Luchos. And if Chas v'Sholom, that Moshe Rabbeinu had to break the Luchos, we had to do tshuva, and finally we got the second Luchos. What's the big deal with these Luchos? So one of the answers that Chassidus answers is the difference between the Torah and the Luchos is the way the letters are on the parchment or the letters in stone. The letters on the Torah is an addition to the parchment. In other words, you could separate and remove the ink of the letters, and that's the end of the letters. But when you talk about engraving on stone, you can't remove the letters. The letters is a part of the stone itself. What does this represent? By giving us the Luchos, it meant that Torah becomes our Metzius. This is who we are. Religion is not an important part of our life, a very important thing of our life, but there's still me, and there is religion. That's not what it's supposed to be. Hashem gave us the koyach by giving us the Luchos, that's who we are. You can't separate Yiddishkeit from the Yid. That is who I am. That's my essence. That's not an addition to my life, an important part of my life. That is my life. So we're talking about the Russian Jews, or we're talking about Mesiras Nefesh. If religion is your life, then without that I have no life. So this is what Chassidus is all about in a nutshell. That Torah and mitzvahs is who I am. That's my essence. If I don't have that, I have no life. And if I have that, I have everything. There's nothing more that I could ask for. There's nothing more that I could get than this connection to Hashem. One of the most important things that the Tanya teaches us is that the word mitzvah means attachment. It means, of course, a command. In America, most people think I don't know where they got this from, that a mitzvah means a good deed. It probably started off because they heard a story with the convert who came to Hillel, and Hillel told him, so they made some kind of a kugel that the whole religion is loving your fellow Jew, so I don't need to do mitzvahs, because Hillel said it's the whole religion. So therefore a mitzvah means a good deed. But a mitzvah doesn't mean a good deed. I'm sure it's a good deed, but that's not the translation. The translation is it's a commandment, and it's also the translation of mitzvah means attachment. When a Yid does a mitzvah, he becomes attached, united with Hashem forever. There's nothing greater than being connected to Hashem. Hashem doesn't have anything more to offer than himself. There's nothing greater. And Hashem is in the mitzvah. And when we do a mitzvah, we are connected to Hashem. And chas v'shalom, if we don't do the mitzvah, or we do something that Hashem doesn't want us to do, what's the problem? The problem is not that we're going to go to hell. Of course, there is such a thing as hell. Rumors have it that there's a great microwave ovens up there. But that's not the issue. The issue is, now, where am I? Am I connected or am I disconnected? Let's imagine for a moment, and I had this experience in my life. Let's imagine we are on a respirator, chas v'shalom. And a nurse comes up to you're in an intensive care unit, and there's a lot of people who can't breathe, and they need a respirator. And some nurse comes over and sees this person and says, "Excuse me, sir, good afternoon. I hope you don't mind, but there's a guy down the hall who really needs this machine. You don't mind if I disconnect the machine? I'll be back in 20 minutes, but I'm going to give it to somebody else." And if the patient says, "Oh, go right ahead, please. My pleasure." What does the nurse do? She says, "Uh-oh, this guy is not on the right floor. He's not only sick he's mentally sick, because if he says go ahead, there's nobody to come back in 15 minutes. Religion is about now. It's not about what's going to be later. A mitzvah means I'm connected to life. And chas v'shalom, what's the worst thing about a sin? I'm disconnected. I could do tshuva. Okay, you could come back in 15 minutes. Tell the nurse that too. You'll come back in 15 minutes. And she'll say, "I'm so sorry if you left the world." She says, "Isn't that a shame?" But there's nobody to come back. So the Alter Rebbe says, mitzvah means attachment now. And the problem is you gotta stay attached. And chas v'sholem, if you miss a mitzvah, you're going to become disconnected. And if I have to explain you what the consequences is of being disconnected, then you really need some serious help. You need some serious help, and I don't even know if there are doctors around. The Bellevue they say it's booked already. All the beds are taken. So we got to understand, Chassidus teaches us now. Where am I now? Am I attached to Hashem or I'm disconnected? There's nothing worse than being disconnected. You're dead. So what does this have to do with what we're talking about? The whole issue is Mesiras Nefesh. The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, a life of a Jew is Mesiras Nefesh. because the issues are burning issues. It's not like candies or dessert. It's a nice thing to do a good deed. How nice, how wonderful. We're talking about Mesiris Nefesh for life, to be connected or not connected. And to stay always connected, to stay focused that the issues is about connection, you need to learn Chassidus. And you need to remind yourself. That's why the Alter Rebbe says, why do we need to say Shema every day, at least twice a day? Because we gotta always remind ourselves that the issue is connection. And for that, it'll take self-sacrifice. It's gonna take a lot of dedication to always stay focused, not to lose my connection. L'chaim, l'chaim. I just want a rabbi once began a sermon, and he started off that before he begins to talk, he would like to say a few words. So I'm going to say a few words before I begin to talk. The only way that this Farbrengen is going to have a lasting effect is if we want it to have a lasting effect. In other words, you have to want that. You coming to a Farbrengen from such a holy day, Hashem gives us the koiches that we could take from Beis Tammuz, tremendous amount of koiches to pull through all kinds of difficulties, nisyonis, and all kinds of things that we go through in life. We all take it, we can take it from this holy day, but with one condition, that we want to do that. If you sit down by a Farbrengen, you couldn't care less. Okay, I have nothing else what to do. I'll sit down. You're supposed to sit down. You sit down. Then it's a waste of time. The only way that it'll have an effect is if you're sitting down l'katchila, that you really are serious about changing, about becoming better, becoming closer. You're looking for that. If you're looking for that and you want that, then there's a very good hope that this Farbrengen will have a real meaning to you, and you'll remember this, and this will help you to pull through till next Beis Tammuz. I just learned this afternoon a mimer from the Alter Rebbe, and he says there that in order for Shemoneh Esrei, where we ask Hashem all kinds of things, and mainly, believe it or not, we are asking Hashem for spiritual needs. He says, but in order for you to really want that, and to ask that, you need to have Pesukah de Zimra, and you need to have Birchas Krishma. You need to do some serious contemplation of what is Hashem and the greatness of Hashem and what does Hashem do for me and do for the world. When you prepare for that, then when you come to Shemoneh Esrei, those words are going to be for real. You mean it. And Hashem sees if you mean it. So we have this cloud that you need to prepare before a Farbrengen. You need to have a certain interest. I'm coming to become better. I'm becoming to become a little closer. How do I get a little closer? If that's the reason you're sitting here tonight, then there's a good chance that this Farbrengen will have a tremendous effect on you, Mirz Hashem, at least till the next Beis Tammuz. That's the few words I wanted to say before I begin to talk. But I want to say that there's some very good news. The good news is that it says in the Zohar that in every generation there is a neshama, the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu. And Moshe Rabbeinu has a title. He's called Raya Mehemne. There are two translations of this word. Raya means a shepherd. Mehemne could mean he's a faithful shepherd. He does things honestly and he's loyal to his sheep, to his cattle. But then there is another taish. Raye, Moshe was a Raye Mehemne. He fed Mehemne Emunah. The job of a Moshe Rabbeinu is that he feeds us constantly. That this Emunah that we all have by birth, we are children of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and we have this Emunah. But that this Emunah should be active, and it should be thorough, and in which we should always remember this Emunah. For that you need a Rebbe, a Moshe Rabbeinu who feeds us. That's how Hashem made it. That the Moshe Rabbeinu of the generation, his specific task is to make what you believe should be real, should be live to you and real to you. Because a person could believe from today till tomorrow, and he could contradict himself. Like the Gemara gives a very cute example. A ganif, a thief, right before he makes the holdup, could pray to Hashem, please Hashem, help me have success in my holdup. He's asking Hashem success in going against Hashem. To make a holdup is not exactly, doesn't fit in with the 10 Commandments. So how is he asking Hashem, give me success? The answer is, you could believe and believe and believe, and you don't even realize what you're believing. So you could pray to Hashem, help me be successful, that I should make a good holdup. That means Emunah is very, very special. But the Emunah has to seep into our mind, into our heart. It should be real, and it should be alive. And that is what our Rebbe does for us. The little Yiddishkeit that we have, believe it or not, we get this from the Rebbe. Sometimes we think it's our own. So I want to point you to a letter, a mimer, and I hope you'll remember till tomorrow. There's a mimer from the F.R.E.E. Rebbe in Tov Shin Gimel. Sefer Mamorim Tov Shin Gimel, page 85. In every Sefer of Tov Shin Gimel, it's on the same page. So if you don't find it, you're not finding the right Sefer. Page 85. What it says there, it was going to knock your socks off. It's not your socks? You have your socks on?
I have mine. I want to make sure you open my socks.
Okay, but hold on to the socks because I'm afraid it's going to fall off. Listen. That mimer states that the Rabbeim in heaven now have a set time every day, helping the Hasidim on this world, helping them in Limud HaTorah, in Kiyum HaMitzvahs, in Tefillah. Even when we have a test, we all have tests in life. Who helps us to overcome the test? Says in that mimer, because the Rebbe is now helping you. You think it's you? I don't know if they talk this language now, but in my days they used to say fish cakes. Is it still now a logo? No. Okay, but I go back still 80 years ago. So therefore, there's no such a thing. It's not you. It's all the Rebbe. The Rebbe thinks about us and prays for us. The little Yiddishkeit that you think you do have, not too much, but that little Yiddishkeit is also because the Rebbe is praying to Hashem for you. He's helping you. We have a Rebbe who is live and working and helping us in everything that we do. And I'm going to tell you some stories now I don't know if you heard this from me before. If you didn't, it's going to be very powerful stories. Hold on to the table because I don't want to cause any accidents because these are powerful stories. Are you holding on or you're not holding on?
Holding on.
You're not holding on. You think you're smart. Listen. You're ready or you're not ready? I'll tell you.
Ready.
Okay. When I was learning in yeshiva as before my bar mitzvah, there was a boy in the yeshiva in Bedford and Dean. This was an elementary school of the Lubavitcher yeshiva. And there was a boy who dropped out of Yiddishkeit. And it was very, very uncommon in those days for a Lubavitcher boy from a Lubavitcher family. His father was a Shliach from the F.R.E.E. Rebbe, a real came from a Chassidus home, and he dropped Yiddishkeit. We all knew about this, and it was like the whole yeshiva knew about this. This was like so unusual. You ready or you're not ready? Are you sure you're ready? The father, who was a Hasidic Shiite, came into the Rebbe in Yechidus, and he said to the Rebbe in Yiddish, because of course he spoke Yiddish, and he said the following words to the Rebbe. Rebbe, ich bete Rebbe soll in Sinn haben mein Sohn. Please keep my son in mind. Like, pray for him that he should go back to Yiddishkeit. So the Rebbe said to him, you have to remind me about your son. Do you know how many tears I shed by the tzion of the F.R.E.E. Rebbe for your son? So don't you're gonna remind me, I gotta Rebbe keep my son in mind. You hear these words? That means you don't have to solicit the Rebbe. The Rebbe's praying, he's praying for the whole time. Listen to the story. This is a real story. Okay, fast forward this story 55 years later. About 55 years later, I'm already an old geezer. This guy not only came back to Yiddishkeit, he's a Zayda now, from a Yid, his sons, his children are from, Einiglach are from, and I see him for the first time about a half a block away from 770. I freaked out. This is what the Rebbe said. The Rebbe said, I'm praying for him, right? What do I see? He's back here. He's back to his roots, and he's a former Yid. You're not finished with the story. So I go over to him with a big Shalom Aleichem. I didn't see him for years and years. And I told him, you remember what the Rebbe said about you? He looks at me like I was from Mars. He said he never heard the story. Either his father didn't tell him or whatever. So the question is, how do I know? Because the father was a friend of my father, and he told it to my father. Listen to the story. Are you ready or you're not ready?
Ready.
So this younger man who is now a Zayd, he's not even a younger man. He's like an old geezer. So he says to me, he doesn't know, he doesn't remember that story. But he knows another story. This same guy, when he was in his 20s, he still wasn't religious. He happened to go in a car. He probably drove like I drive. And he was on a big, tall mountain. And he went off the cliff with the car. And the car kept on tumbling. He could have been mashed potatoes. He could have been in Olam Emes many times. Listen, by miracle, the Taka took a few months or many months, but he's alive. What does he find out? This is what this guy is telling me. that moment or that hour that he fell down the down the mountain, he found out that exactly that time the Rebbe called Rabbi Groner, who was one of the Rebbe's secretaries, and he asked him, go find out how this guy is doing. Now, what does this mean in Chinese? Does anybody speak Chinese? It means that the Rebbe saved his life. The Rebbe felt that he needs some prayers. He's a hurting dude. He just fell down the whole mountain. And the Rebbe prayed for him and he's alive. Now, maybe you'll say, maybe he called the Rebbe. So there's 3 different reasons why he didn't call the Rebbe. First of all, the minhag is that when you fall off a mountain, you're not exactly in shape to call anybody. Number 2, there was no cell phones. Number 3, he wasn't religious. He wasn't going to call the Rebbe. So how did the Rebbe know that he just fell off a mountain? Because the Rebbe is a Rebbe. So I met this guy who both stories, the fact that he is spiritually back on the track came only from the Rebbe. The Rebbe said, you don't have to remind me. And the fact that he's physically alive was also not through solicitation. It's not that he called up the Rebbe, hi Rebbe, I just fell off. This was the Rebbe. The Rebbe felt this is my neshama. So is the Rebbe with us? So it's not a hergish that I'm sharing with you, that I had a heartburn and I had a hergish, that the Rebbe is here. Now people are walking around with hergishim. We got to have medicine all the time, heart medicine, because everybody's walking around with a hergish. Everyone has a different hergish. The Rebbe is upstairs, he's downstairs. He's about the oil, he could be about the oil. Everybody has feelings. They call this indigestion or they call this heartburn. But I'm telling you what the Rebbe said. This is not a hergish. Look what it says in that Maimah. That the Rabbeim have set times to help us down here. It's in the Maimah. Tafshin Gimel, page 85. Bring it and you'll see it. If there's no Tafshin Gimel here, there's a big shaila. Why shouldn't there be a Tafshin Gimel? There has to be. Shai. Hakitzer. I'm not finished with the stories. You ready for another story? That's how it goes by F.R.E.E. There's all kinds of rules how it works. Zog Anigin, Zog L'chaim. You ever heard this? A part of this is like Zog L'chaim, Zog L'chaim. What'd you say? Okay, you say Bein needs Bein. Ay, 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 We know the story. There was a guy who was davening in the shul. forgot the tune of Rosh Hashanah the Kedamin. And he had his wife in the Bible show. Chicgo could sing it. I'm a Beis, I'm a Kendish, nem es es nicht notay. Oh, yeah.
I'm doing my summer Shliches this summer. And I see boys become lifeguards. I give them a little attention.
There's another story that is very important story that happened to a friend of mine. Everybody, I'm sure, knows who he is. He's a Shliach in Italy, and his name is Shmuley Rodel, Harav Shmuel Rodel. And his story was also on the video, but for those of you who didn't see that, I'll share with you the story. It's a mamish, a moiridik story. I learned with him in Bedford, and later he learned in 770. And then I didn't even remember that, but he went to Kfar Chabad. His last time in yeshiva was in Kfar Chabad, and that was the time where there was a mashpia, the famous mashpia, Reb Shlomo Chaim. And when he was in this yeshiva in Kfar Chabad, one day he spoke to his mashpia, and he poured out his heart to him, and he confided to him because the Rebbe really wants that we should go to a mashpia. The Rebbe made a seder that a bocher and a younger man has to have a mashpia, and the mashpia is the one who's supposed to give him hadrache and help him in his avodas Hashem. Contrary to some people who, instead of going to a mashpia, because what does he know? So they changed the Rebbe's words. Instead of going to the mashpia, they go to the igros. And the igros answers you. But a person has to know that you got to listen to the Rebbe. If you go on the Rebbe, whatever he said, you're for sure going on the right road. But when you do something based on your own feelings, it could end up to be a heartburn. You can't lead your life by what you feel like. When I was a bacher, I'll share with you just one short. I once got a bop from the Rebbe over the head. It was a miracle that I had some rubber on my head, because or else I would really feel it till today. The Rebbe said to me once, he wrote it, Kelach mililmaid pshatim bidvarai. Stay away from learning pshatim in my words. Uliyes ata, for the time being, till I tell you any different, maspik hanoima beferish. Do what I said, and don't learn pshatim in my words. The Pnimius HaKavana is just the opposite of what he said, but I'm going to be smarter. I'm going to go like the Pnimius HaKavana. There's not Pnimius HaKavana, it's the Pnimius of, of the earth. But you can't deviate from what the Rebbe said. Whatever the Rebbe said, this is the Dvar Hashem. You want to go on your own, you could go kushabeh. But you want to listen to the Rebbe, you got to do what the Rebbe said. I send you to a nikras, I send you. I send you to a mashpia. Never did a Rebbe send somebody to the ikras. So what right do we have to do something that is not what the Rebbe said? You got to listen to the Rebbe. You'll never go wrong if you listen to the Rebbe. I'll tell you a very important story. B'nigeya to this.
Why is it a stira?
It's not a stira, it's just a stira. Because if the Rebbe says you should go to mashpia, and then instead you go to a sefer, that's a stira to what he said. He didn't say to go.
It's one or the other. Whoever said one or the other.
But if the Rebbe said the right to the feet, I'm not disagreeing, but it's an important question. Rebbe said right, and the revolution away to the international.
So listen to the next story. All right? Listen to the story. This is a very funny story, but it's a true story. My father, Olav Shalom, would write to the Rebbe maybe 10 times a day and get answers all the time, all of his life. He was constantly very much in touch with the Rebbe. One time out of all the times, he had a question in business, and the Rebbe answered him, Yisayitz im Yedidim Mevinim. You should ask friends who know, let's say, who understand this business, and they will advise you. My father was not used to that. This was the first time the Rebbe is sending him. So I don't know what you want to say, but he wrote back to the Rebbe, okay, but to me, you're my biggest Yedid. So I'm going back to you. You're Yedidim Avinim. So I'm asking you. So listen to the Rebbe's answer. This is a beautiful and important answer. Was hat es euch? What do you care? If my answer is going to come through the Yedidim Avinim. In other words, when the Rebbe sends you to talk to a mashpia or talk to Yedidim Avinim, he's not sending you away. He is saying that when I send you to the answer that the Yedidim Avinim answer, that's my answer. When the Rebbe sends you to a mashpia, he's not sending you away. Don't bother me, bother somebody else. So the Rebbe sends to a mashpia, we believe that this is the Ratzon of the Rebbe, then this answer that the mashpiyim, the Eibishter gives, the Rabbeim give koiches to the mashpiyim, that what they will say, that's the Ratzon of the Rebbe. So therefore, hello? So when the Rebbe sends us to mashpiyim, we need to go to the mashpiyim. We're just king-size yeshes, balgaivis, and we think that what does this guy know? And after all, he's a nobody. I'm going to go straight to the Rebbe. I'm going to put into Igris. You could write to the Rebbe. You could do whatever you want, but that's not what he asked you. It's not what he told you. You're playing with fire. You got to listen to what he said. You'll never go wrong. But if you're going on your own and you're making up your own hagation, good luck, Charlie. You got to listen to the Rebbe. You'll never go wrong if you listen to the Rebbe. But when you do something that you have a problem, sir? You have a problem with what I'm saying? You think I'm confused? Thank you very much. Do you want to counsel me a little later? Because we all could use some help. I'm not saying it's a stira, let it not be a stira, let it be yes a stira. I'm just saying is we have to train ourselves to listen to the Rebbe.
Okay, tomorrow. Pick up tomorrow.
Okay, we'll talk about this.
Tomorrow. We're going to play back the
So let's get back to the ranch. Where are we? So listen to the story. So this Bacha, he was still a Bacha, and he went to Kfar Chabad. And the Rebbe says to go to a mashpia and talk your issues with him. So he went to the mashpia, and he told him that he's having doubts. He's having doubts about the whole situation. Tzveikus in the Muna. The Alter Rebbe, does anybody know what the Alter Rebbe says about Tzveikus in the Muna? Hello? Do we know what it says in the Tanya, or we don't know? The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that you should say to yourself, my neshama has no tzveikus in the Muna. My nefesh abamis, he's a behemoth, a hippopotamus. What do you want for the guy? It's expected from him. Ignore it. Don't take it to heart. But that's not you. The real you has no tzveikus. In matter of fact, in the Chassidus and the Rebbe's Mamorim, where do we have Emunah? So the Rebbe says this unbelievable concept. Emunah comes because my neshama sees Hashem. Before I came down on this world, I saw Hashem. What remains when I come down here? I know it. I'm sure. Why are you sure? Because I saw something that you see, no one could refute. It's not going to, I'm sure because I saw it. So every Yid has a Munah. No, then, your nefesh abamis, you must have feed it like Tavis, like there's no tomorrow. So look him down, don't listen to him. But this guy had Sveikus in the Moon. So the Mashpia says, write to the Rebbe. He says he wrote an 8-page letter to the Rebbe about his situation. He's going to the yeshiva, he's going through the Sedorim, he's acting like everything is fine and dandy, but inside, he's a koifakel. He doesn't believe in the whole situation. And he writes this letter, and he doesn't get an answer. Doesn't know what this means, he doesn't get an answer. Months go by, and suddenly, he has no more doubts.
Studying what?
He has no more doubts. He goes to the Reb Shlomo Chaim, I don't know how many months, and he tells him everything's under control. I believe, and it's all. Reb Shlomo Chaim says, if that's the case, you have to write to the Rebbe. Tell him the good news. And when you finish sending out the letter, I'm inviting you tonight for a cup of tea. Come to my house, we'll have a drink of tea. I had to clarify that. Anyways, so Reb Shlomo Chaim tells him the following. You ready for this or you're not ready for this? This is an unbelievable story. He said you should know that from when you wrote the letter to the Rebbe, you didn't get an answer. But what do you think? The Rebbe doesn't care? Every month, I get a letter from the Rebbe to me about you. How is he doing? The Rebbe wants an update how he's doing in Yiddishkeit. And the reason that today that you're coming to me to tell me you got no more problems, guess how this happened? That's the Rebbe. You're not finished. The story goes even further. Okay, could you imagine the feeling that he got when Reb Shlomo Chaim, he couldn't tell him before. It looked like the Rebbe didn't want that this Rabbi Ruddle should know that the Rebbe is, but the Rebbe cares for you and he's doing whatever he can to help you, although you don't know it. But this is the punchline. He finishes off this year in Kfar Chabad. He left this, oh, you're here. He finishes the year. He comes back to Montreal where his father was there, and his father had a bookstore, a Hebrew bookstore. And his father says to the son, I'm getting old. I have a good business. I want to give you over my business. I'm going to give you training. A half a day you can still learn. In the other half a day, I'm going to give you, I'll break you into this business. So when you'll, then you can take over my business. And this father goes into the Rebbe and tells the Rebbe, this is his plan. He's going to take his son Shmulik. Baruch Hashem, he was Matzliach in Yeshiva, and now he wants to take him into the business. You hear this? Now hold on to your chairs. Says the Rebbe to him, Men hat gelegt koiches, milmaila u milmata. Milmaila maybe means the Frierdiker Rebbe, and milmata maybe means the Rebbe down here. Man hat gelegt koiches milmaila u milmata. As soll sein wie is jetzt. And him you want to take into business. He needs to go on Shliches. And he ended up, Baruch Hashem, he's 50, 60 years in Shliches. But that's not the point. The point is that the Rebbe had to say the truth to him. That they put in koiches milmaila milmata. This is such galuyim. So we have a Rebbe. The Rebbe is helping us milmata, milmaila from all sides. And what we need to know is we have to kemayim, haponim, leponim. The Alter Rebbe starts Perek Mem Vav in Tanya. V'yesh derech yosha, shava lechol nefesh, And Alter Rebbe says, Korov miyoid, miyoid. The whole Tanya is based on the pasuk, Korov elecha hadava miyoid, one time miyoid. The Alter Rebbe here says it's miyoid, miyoid. So what's the pshat? Why is he saying miyoid, miyoid? Because the Alter Rebbe now is going to say something that a person could say, am I Shliches to this Ava to love the Eibishter? I'm a nobody. Says the Alter Rebbe, you're darn tootin', you're nobody. I believe you. I know even better than you what a nobody is. But the more you really feel that you're a nobody, the more you will appreciate it. You'll have this Ava. Because the whole Ava is Kemayim Aponim Leponim. That when a Melech Gadol V'Noira goes down in the dumps in the Bowery and picks you up from the schmutz and takes you all the way back to his chambers and hugs you and kisses you, what kind of love do you give back to the Melech that he went to look for me when I'm in the dumps? So you hold that you are nobody. You're right. But look what Hashem is doing for you, how much he loves you, and he takes you close to him. This story that the Rebbe is working for us to have everything we have is all the Rebbe's. We have to show back that love. To sit and say, oh, we don't have the Rebbe, Gimel Thomas. Don't give me that nonsense. You have the Rebbe Alavai, you should have the Rebbe like the Rebbe has you. The Rebbe doesn't forget you a second. Whatever you got is from the Rebbe. You got nothing on your own. You know what you are without the Rebbe? You are a koifer. That's what you are. You're a bag of bones with some fat on it. Everything you have is from the Rebbe. What are you giving back to the Rebbe? What kind of nachas are you giving him to learn better, to daven better, to be a chassid? The Rebbe left us on the greatest high that any Rebbe left. The Rebbe told us that this is the last generation of Galus. So we could chazed a sikha, we could say it was a geschmack a sikha, it was a gewaltige sikha, but don't take it serious, it just was a gewaltige sikha. We don't even take this to heart. If the Rebbe said that, we should be on our toes. We should be, never did we work as hard as we should work now, not to disappoint the Rebbe. The Rebbe put so much trust in us that we are going to be the door that's going to witness Mashiach. Could you imagine all the doors, look back, all the people, for all the doors were waiting for this, and they got to rely on these yogis here. They're really going to make it happen. They're going to throw up these poor neshamas. The whole generation of the Holocaust, they were dying, they were in the ovens, they had a serious nefesh. They didn't do it. They didn't get there. We are going to get there. Why? Because we eat potato chips. And what we have to, if you believe the Rebbe, that we are everyone is looking for us. Everyone is relying on us. We're going to make the final push. We're making the final push. It's to cry. This is how the last generation is going to look. Everybody should ask themselves, if the Rebbe would see us today, he would throw up. This is what he left us. This is the kind of Hasidim he left us. He left us on such a high. The last tenuah that the Rebbe showed to us was new. That's all we saw. The Rebbe couldn't speak anymore. But he made with his hands, are you going to let me down? Are you going to just fall asleep? Or are you going to work your head off? You're going to learn, and you're going to daven, and you're going to be a chassid, and you're going to be for real, and you're going to get Mesiris Nefesh. We owe this to the Rebbe Pasha to be a human being. Kamayim upon him. How could we sit content like things are business as usual? Yeah, we'll not take it to heart. We'll sit by Farbrengen. We'll have to have now lately by Farbrengen this potato chips. Baruch Hashem, I don't see no potato chips. People, it's coming out soon. A bit of potato chips. It goes all together. This is like a party. The Beis Tammuz is a party. They're not. I hope that there's not going to be such a thing. But listen, we cannot leave the Rebbe. We can't leave him to be disappointed. He gave us such a task. The Rebbe is dead serious. He gave us the task that we have to be the last people who make the final touch. He said this from his whole soul. How are we going to face him? I suggested a lot of times, but no one's taking me serious. We need to manufacture garbage cans. That when Mashiach will come, we shouldn't have to, the Rebbe shouldn't see our faces. In Lubavitch, that's what I heard, I wasn't here, but in Lubavitch, when the Rebbe Rashab would make a spontaneous visit in the Zal, the Bochum tipped hats over because they knew that in Kabbalah, that on the forehead, a tzaddik could see the whole situation. So little did they realize that if a Rebbe could see everything on your forehead, he could see through a hat too. But it was a natural thing to cover the head, because how are you going to face the Rebbe? You might as well get a garbage can. Maybe you could make some holes, you should be able to see what's going on. But imagine the Rebbe's going to look, these are the guys I raised, these are the guys they're going to make the final touch. Are you kidding? Final touch my eye. This is a final touch. Bunch of baloney people. Baloney sheba baloney. Did you ever have an experience? I want to know, Pasha, I'm asking the item informally. Did you ever hear a baskile? A baskile. Do you ever hear a baskile?
Don't answer that.
That's an English question.
You know what you could hear? I'm just telling you, just watch out.
Formal one or informal?
An informal one. Did you ever hear a baskile telling you, you are so full of baloney? You're such a hypocrite, you're full of it, that it's coming out of your ears, the baloney. These are Hasidim. This is Getraya Hasidim to the Rebbe, who the Rebbe entrusted in us that we are going to be the last generation. We're going to kill ourselves for the Eibishter. This is the guys.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's right.
What's right?
This is the generation. This is.
Okay, I refer Shalem for every. I am saying, I mean, you understand what I'm saying? We have to ask ourselves, this is what the Rebbe wanted from us? Are we doing a good job? And he's going to say, oh, great. You're still showing wonderful. This is what he gave his life for. We have to ask ourselves every day, how can the Rebbe said that we should get ready to be Mekabel Panim. What do you think that means? To dance Humpty Dumpty in front of his face? Are you out of your mind? Is that what he needs for you to dance and hop? He needs your dance. He needs you to kill yourself. So therefore, we gotta wonder, when the Rebbe said we have to be Mekabel Panim, you have to be ready to face him. He's gonna pass out if he sees us. He's gonna need smelling salts. This, we are prepared front lines. Hello? What'd you say? It's time for a niggin? Okay, whatever you say. What niggin? Humpty Dumpty? What should we sing?
Lisa Vera was given pizza, now potato chips.
I am Farbrengen. What did he say in Russian?
You're making him scary.
It is scary. No joke.
Break the things. They figured out to get a single stick, and they can get ants on one stick. So sushi were one stick better.